Is Moldova a good place to invest in property right now? What are the unique opportunities present here? And are there any insights that you as an investor should be aware of? Well, in this video, I'm actually going to target not only non-residents, but also the residents of Moldova, because I know there are many who ask me about investment opportunities here, about pricing, and what do I think about the fluctuations of the market. Is it a still good opportunity to invest? So that's why, if you're interested in this topic and you want to have a full overview of the Moldovan property market and the investment opportunities that are present right now, follow through, leave a thumbs up and subscribe, because we're starting. This video is part of the solo podcast series, so I will remind you, if you don't know, if you're new to the channel, by the way, don't forget to subscribe, that this is going to be raw and uncut. I'm just going to talk to you like I do to my friends and just explain what I think about it and give you my personal insights as a pretty avid investor back 4 or 5 years ago in this market. So I'll start by saying that I actually am a big believer of New Europe, how many call it. So the Eastern Europe side, most specifically, there are many opportunities that you have to look at, because they are definitely more interesting, both economically, but also as a location safety than most of the countries in the western part of Europe. So I really do look at this part of the world as a pretty cool and good market. I am also a believer of the world order change, so I can see that things are, well, moving around. And if 20 years ago it was more safe and better to go to the West, even in my case, I immigrated to the UK. I did my studies there and worked there for a while. I thought that is, a better place. And we now see that that was maybe back in the days, but nowadays that's definitely not the case. There are many people moving around, specifically millionaires and obviously billionaires, who want to preserve their capital. They want to grow it. And that's why there are new markets opening up. Besides Eastern Europe, there is, of course, Latin America, there is Asia, but those places were kind of popular before as well. Eastern Europe is more of a newer niche market that is opening up right now, because specifically some of the countries here, they offer you really good investor programs. So even in Moldova, if I'm not wrong, if you invest 100,000 in for the government, then you will get the residence, and that's the path to the citizenship as well, which actually back in the day probably wasn't the best citizenship, because we were closed from the EU. However, right now, Moldova is open to, the EU, all the European countries, except I think UK, which I don't need by now, but still. You can travel freely. You don't have the opportunity to work there. I mean, you need a visa to work there, so it's more about the travel benefits that you get. But besides the the EU benefits of traveling there, you can also travel in the post-Soviet countries. So even including Russia, you can travel freely. You don't need a visa. So I would argue that the passport is actually pretty strong, which I'm sure if there will be good measures done by the government and implemented towards a more, investor-friendly environment here, we will have a lot of people coming specifically for the passport. But that will take some time. We have this program right now, and if I'm not wrong, because honestly I didn't check it for quite some time, although I doubt there are changes. However, you can also invest here as a foreigner. You can invest here as a local as well. The only difference is that as a foreigner, you can't buy land here. But if you are local, I think you have quite some opportunities. If you're smart with your money, if you have the right financial approach, then you can definitely benefit of some good, specifically capital appreciation. But in some cases, you can also see good rental income. So in my case, I've never actually done any deals here that I would furnish and rent out and see some rental income. I've only been into the basically flipping side of things. So investing at the right moment, finding the opportunity beforehand, then investing, waiting for some time, maybe even buying some distressed deals or just trying to buy a bigger plot of land or just more apartments to basically do a couple of strategies to be able to resell them easier and at a premium. So I've mainly invested in off plans in Moldova. I've actually bought this apartment where I'm in right now already made. So at the time when I came back for a while, it was COVID. That's exactly the reason that I came back, and I needed a place to stay, live, and so on. So I found this apartment, which was a one bedroom, very small. It's about 40 meters squared, but it just offers me everything that I need. It's very modern. It was already coming with the furnished kitchen, and I even had the bed already installed. So I did invest some money to buy the electronics, which was quite expensive in Moldova. The prices of furnishing is actually way more expensive than anywhere else you could imagine, even in the West. So you definitely have to spend a bit of money on that. However, at that time, I bought it, I think, in 2020, and I paid around 36,000 euros for the apartment, and then I invested around another 13 to 14,000 euros to make it to the level that I really wanted. And I could have done it cheaper because almost everything was already made. Even the bathroom was fully furnished. It's just that I wanted to buy really good electronics, so I already got everything from Philips and Samsung to make sure that they are good for long term, and I don't need to call people for repairs, because honestly, that is also a pretty big cost here. So if you would have to call the maintenance and all kinds of electricians all the time, they charge pretty much in Moldova, and that could end up being very significantly costly for you than in some other places. That's why I try to do it this way. But right now I've checked in my very own building, and this kind of apartments are going for just under 100,000 euros. So as you can see, it's almost 2.5x from the initial price of the apartment. And if we take out the furnishings, as in the electronics, then you can almost hit a triple capital appreciation in the next, I believe, 1 or 2 years. However, in this video, I want to talk about the overview of the current market and tell you basically what are my very own thoughts and opinions about this, because I know many of you know that I did a lot of property investing in Moldova. I definitely did over 10 deals throughout 3 to 4 years. Actually, no, last one I did last year. So around 5 years working with the market here. I worked heavily with the banks, so I did leverage a lot of my deals. I actually used a lot of loans to do this, because obviously I had to start from somewhere and I didn't have the capital. But just to give you the perspective, 5 years ago when I started, the prices were almost half of what we're seeing right now. And that is pretty crazy, to be honest, which basically leads to a 20% year-on-year capital appreciation. So definitely a very good time to start then. Currently, if you ask me, I am actually unsure if this is the right market where you can work, because the prices seem to have grown at a very fast pace, specifically after the war in Ukraine and Russia, where we had a lot of inflow of both Russians and Ukrainians buying apartments here, and that obviously drove up the prices significantly, specifically for the rental prices, because honestly, I came here and I was thinking, what if I maybe rent out my own small apartment, and when I just come home and I need a bigger apartment. Also, if I come with my girlfriend, then we would need some more space. Then I would just rent something on Airbnb or so. But the prices on Airbnb were very, very high, like higher than Dubai actually. And that's of course in summer, because summer in Dubai, the prices go down. So basically a one bedroom would go for around $1,500 on Airbnb during summer, which is peak season. So there are a lot of people coming to Moldova from the West or any other country where they work in or study. And obviously there is peak seasonality for car rentals, for Airbnbs, and so on. So basically that makes sense. However, still the prices, I would say, are way higher. At least I do believe that in the long term, those prices should be here because let's face it, Moldova is a European country. It's okay, not in EU, but it's on the right path and trajectory to becoming a EU citizen, a member. And I would definitely feel that, you know, the prices per square meter in the specifically city center of the capital of a European country should definitely at some point reach prices of 5 to even 10,000 euros per meter square. But the difference with what happened here and the West is that here this price spiked quite significantly in just 1 or 2 years, which wasn't really normal. So it was kind of an abnormal reaction to the war effects and everything. And also I wouldn't say there were many changes in the banking system. I mean, obviously there are fluctuations in the prices for, well, the percentage interest from the banks. And you can adjust, obviously, the rental prices or the prices of the apartments in general for sales when you see that. However, I wouldn't say there was too much of a fluctuation there to see such an increase in the prices. I would not be, I would actually be not surprised at all if the prices actually increased more than 20 or even 30% last year for some specific units, because when I invested in my very, very first deal here in Moldova, I will reveal it, by the way, for the first time right now in this video. It was in the Solomon Tower, and that is basically a tower that is more futuristic to the architecture of Moldova's capital, Chisinau. And it's based in one of the prettiest parks in the more or less city center of the capital. And basically at that time when I found the deals and I bought my first 2 apartments actually there, I was actually the first investor in the project. I just saw a very good opportunity since many apartments and buildings were already being priced double of the price when I was looking at this Solomon Tower. And basically nowadays, some of those apartments, comparing to the price I paid back 5 years ago, are being sold for X6 of the price that I paid. Which doesn't mean that I need to beat myself up and feel bad because I didn't keep those apartments. I actually made 2.5 to 3x returns on them when I sold them after about 2.5 years from the moment of the investment. And that was an off plan, so obviously the prices would be expected to increase, but it was an insane return for me. And I used obviously all those money, all those income proceeds to invest in Dubai and so on. So I wouldn't beat myself up. But for those people who didn't have any other alternatives and opportunities what to do with that money, they can now see X5 to X6 returns on those investments. So, I mean, I would say this is not really normal. This is definitely a very unique case, and that depends on another thing which I want to discuss in this solo podcast, which is the developers that you choose to invest in the Moldovan property market is very important. It's a very, very critical factor because here, historically, there were a lot of issues with the developers that are quite unknown. They perhaps try to raise money before even starting the construction and understanding whether they would be able to finish those developments. So there were a lot of developers who were going bankrupt and people were losing money and there were lawsuits and people going to the courts for like 5-6 years. I mean, I have also friends who did this and this is crazy. And that's why a big thing, a big factor that will help you to succeed in this market is to actually focus on the right developers. At least right now, we have a few that have been on the market for 15 to 25 even years. They are big names which always deliver. I wouldn't say always on time, but they definitely deliver. So you will see the projects, you will most probably have it on time if you go with the one of the biggest developers. So I think if you choose, let's say, Astercon, Solomon, if you choose even Dansicons, which is one of the biggest developers, and it's actually the one that built this apartment building. It's not the highest quality, but it's pretty good. I think price-wise, you can get something pretty good at the off-plan stage. In Amsterdam, another one which always delivers pretty good quality and also on time. So if you go with those kind of developers, you will definitely be fine. You would see capital appreciation at least 30%. You will probably see more. You'll be able to move in if it's for yourself or get ready, the apartment for the rentals. So I think if you go with the right developer, you're pretty safe here and you will definitely see pretty good capital appreciation. However, currently, even the good developers are pricing their projects pretty high. So I wouldn't say that the market will go down because as we saw, the market only went up for the past couple of years and it's continuing in the same pace. So I wouldn't expect you to, wait and get a better deal. Always, I tell to my friends, just don't wait. There is no right timing for the property market. If you do it for a long-term investment, it doesn't actually matter when you do it. You will always make some good returns on your investment. If you're speculating the market and you want to outsmart someone, then probably this is not the right time to do this in Moldova. Maybe you can do this in some other places in the world, but here probably it's a bit overvalued at this right moment to be able to outsmart someone. But if you're just investing long term, let's say even if you have a 5-year trajectory, I think you're safe. And I think you will see some really good returns in here. You need to always obviously consider that if you want to sell the apartment, you have to pay for capital gains, which is 6% in Moldova, which is pretty fine, I would say. That's 6% obviously from the profit that you make on that unit or more units. And if you are looking into buying right now, I would say you need to look at some specific buildings which are more attractive, which probably saw more demand even at the stage of being announced as a development. So I think that would definitely guarantee you a bit more safety and probably better returns. Obviously, that would be more expensive, but you need to calculate it right and try to see that basically for me, if I do a long-term investment, I would like to have a very good unit that is quite rare and unique, and I would be able to really influence the price when it comes to selling it. While when you play short-term, you don't care about the uniqueness or rarity of that project. You just want to get the cheapest price to sell it with the most margin that you can. So there are different types of strategies. If you want, you can reach out to me. We can do some consultations. I'll tell you how I did it in this market and how you can apply it as well onto your investment journey. However, there are different styles. There are different also requirements that the person might have. Obviously, don't invest more than you can actually afford, and pay for those payment plans, because if it comes to the payment of them and you don't have the money, then the developer may take it back from you, so you might lose it. And even though in Moldova this is not as harsh as in Dubai, like you can definitely agree with or communicate with the developer and tell them the extenuating circumstances that you have. You can ask them for some delays. You might even be asked to pay a smaller fine. You just pay that fee and you make sure that the apartment stays in your property. But I would say definitely don't play around with that. Make sure that you are financially stable and you can afford to get into those deals, because right now the market is very, very heated. It has a lot of good high-priced options, but if just a small decline happens, I'm not saying that it would, go down drastically or something. It could be a correction. It could be just a, I don't know, another external circumstance coming from the war, for example, on the east side of Moldova, from Ukraine and Russia, that will really affect the prices of real estate. And at that time, you didn't do the financial projections right for you, and you can't actually sell it, then you might be stuck in such situation where you probably will have to lose some money on the sale, or you'll just have to pay some late fees if it's still on that payment plan. That's why I think right now it's not the time when you can be, very free with what you choose and play around in the market. I think this market right now is more for those who really do their calculations right. And I would even argue that this market is more for the end user, because even me as an investor, I actually sold all my projects except the one that I have here for living, because basically the market peaked. I wasn't sure if it's gonna go more up. I wasn't sure what's happening from the external political situation, so I didn't want to risk it much. Also, specifically that I am based between countries, so I need to play around with money. That's why it didn't make too much sense for me to keep it here. I saw some other opportunities in Dubai. But if you are local here, and I'm specifically talking to my fellow Moldovans who live here, I wouldn't say wait if you want a property for you. There is no right time to wait or not. I mean, you're gonna make money anyway. If you're planning to buy a property right now for you to live in, it's always the right thing. I mean, it's obviously you might have some other opportunities, and I might contradict myself saying that probably it's not the best thing to buy for yourself, but better buy to let and just rent where you live. Currently in Moldova, that's not the case. Renting is very expensive, so buying for your own living makes actually sense in this market. And when the prices might have a correction or slight downturn, you might get another one, or just get a smaller one, a studio that will basically even out what you paid for both apartments. So it's like with diversification of any kind of portfolio. If you bought stocks at a very high price and then you saw a decline in prices which you didn't expect, but it's a solid stock like, I don't know, Google, Alphabet or whatever, then you just buy more at a lower price and you even it out. So obviously that's harder and to do with property, and it's very easy to say that, you just get one now, and then when the prices go down, you get another property. Maybe that worked for me because I knew how to leverage the money, but if you right now plan it accordingly and just try to have this idea in mind, you might use that, to leverage out your situation when this kind of things happen. So there are many strategies that you can play around. But currently, the opportunities that are present in the Moldovan market, I would say, are limited to rare, unique projects, to those who are end users, to perhaps those who were able to get something cheap before or even right now as a distress sale and put it on Airbnb or long-term rental contracts. It's definitely not for those who want to have quick returns in the next 1 to even 3 years. So that's not the case. If you want to flip around the market, that's not the case. If you want to basically buy, refurbish, and then rent it out and refinance the BRRR method, then probably it's also not the case, because now all, furnishing is very expensive. The prices of those older apartments are still kind of high up, keeping up with the more modern prices. So I would say that probably this practice is not very common right now. However, it could be a very good opportunity in the future where we can see that correction. And obviously, if that happens, most people will start buying off the more modern new apartments, and those ones will be left out. So that could be your opportunity to dig into that market, get something old, refurbish that, and just sell it for more expensive, or basically get the capital appreciation, or just rent it out and see the income proceeds from Airbnb. So this is more or less the case. At least this is how I envision the market right now. Honestly, for one of my latest projects, which is Astercon in Dumbrava, I didn't lose money, but I didn't see huge capital appreciation there, because I had to sell a project that was very, very unique. However, it was premature. I needed that money to play around with some other investments in Dubai, and that costed me some percentage of the capital appreciation. So if I waited for another year, probably I would have seen way higher capital appreciation. But just because that unit wasn't the cheapest, so it fell into the category of rare, unique units that you have to wait for some long time until it actually makes sense to sell. And I didn't wait for such a long time, then I had to sell it for not a loss, but just a lower percentage appreciation. So that's the thing. You see, it depends on your strategy. You need to definitely understand the pricing right. There are many websites which show you which developments are available here. I actually usually used Quarter.md here. It's a really great website where you can see all the current off-plan projects, the planned ones and the ones that are already completed. You can see the prices that were announced at the off-plan stage. So that's actually not a video integration with them, but if you do watch this from Quarter, you need to reach out. Maybe I'll do a proper detailed video on that. However, it's a great website. You can use it to compare, and see, maybe you can see some trends that are repeating, because we all know that trends do repeat in cycles. So if you analyze it properly and evaluate the things that happen in, let's say, once in 3 years, maybe you can see some trends in the pricing. Maybe you can see that one specific company is increasing every single 2 years the prices by 15 to 30 euros per square meter. Then you can more or less plan out your future investment projections. So you can try to do that. You can also use, of course, the 999.md, which is basically the biggest marketplace in Moldova, and you can see what kind of opportunities are currently present here. I'm not sure if you have a transaction history there, but if you do, that would be super helpful. However, you can still analyze it right now if you don't plan to buy it just now, and see maybe there are some changes in the actual units that you're looking at in about 6 months or 12 months. So do your research properly. I hope you found this video useful, and like always, if you did so, I do put a lot of effort into creating these videos for you. I hope they are helpful. Leave a thumbs up, as a moment of appreciation, and subscribe to see more of this. Thanks for watching. See you next time.